Welcome to another episode of Galactic Ambassadors podcast. My name is Julie Balaz, coming to you from Ireland, and today I am joined by Jessica Kae, coming to us from Florida, USA. Welcome, Jessica. Jessica is our recently certified quantum soul guidance practitioner, actually certified on the November 11th, 2023. So you took your time in preparation, getting everything ready and organized, setting a beautiful website. And now the time felt right to do this recording. So I'm so happy to have the opportunity to get to know you a little more, learning about your story. You have some amazing additional qualifications too. So if that's okay, I'll just read a little intro that you have on our Galactic Astrology website listing. So Jessica specializes in guiding individuals to connect with their higher selves and aligning them with their soul's purpose and guides. Through her expertise, she assists in revealing innate gifts, navigating challenges, and mentoring individuals on the transformative journey towards self-awareness and ascension. With 19 years of experience in mental health and a master's degree in social work, Jessica facilitates healing from trauma, recovering lost soul aspects, and reintegrating into whole self. As a Reiki master and licensed massage therapist, she guides individuals in embodying their highest frequencies and timelines. Additionally, Jessica assists in connecting with your life's mission as a Gene Keys guide. So excited about that. And also the wealth of experience you have with individuals who struggle, but finding solutions and tools to help them get better in so many ways. So I just feel so privileged and honored that you're guided to quantum soul guidance healing modality, and that you feel excited about exploring galactic astrology and soul reading and all that. It's quite a shift from the mental health industry that is quite limited and rigid still, but I am so happy to see more and more individuals actually that are working in that industry opening up their awareness to other more holistic perhaps modalities. So I'm just so curious to hear your story. Welcome, Jessica. And where would you like to start with all this?
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. I can start at the very beginning for me. As a child, I had a very interesting childhood. It wasn't always easy. It's kind of tumultuous, but I was raised in the church. So they said, the angels will protect you. And for me, I saw them. I saw the angels protecting me. I saw them around my house at night, keeping me safe. And I really felt very close to Jesus. Like he was my friend and he was looking out for me. So I also realized I was kind of in this alternate reality, just kind of beauty and love, but also some really kind of extreme trauma stuff. And so I was living in this world. I kind of got woken up in my teens. Life started getting a little bit more complicated. And then my reality of what I thought Jesus was and how Jesus acted and angels and all that didn't quite mesh with what I was seeing in the world. So I kind of pulled back and said, I really want to stick to my own spirituality and how I know Jesus and how I know what love is and kindness and compassion. So as I grew up into my 20s, I wanted to leave home as soon as I could, went to college and kind of became in the dark. I was still connected deeply and knew my values and loving people, but I stepped away from all kinds of organized religion, so to speak. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to do, what we do. You go to college and you get a degree and you get a job, and then you're supposed to have a family and get a house and all of these things. So I'd gotten to where I was in my late 20s and I was like, I pretty much checked off all the boxes. Like I've got a career. I've been doing this, working in mental health for 8 years. I've been doing these different things and it's just not like, is this it? Is this what we're supposed to be doing? And it wasn't enough for me. And I started having a little depression with it. I was like, I didn't come here for this. So I started meditating, and that really took me on another journey where I got to understand my spirituality deeply from inside of myself and just understanding different layers and frequencies of things. And it really brought me back to how I felt as a child and felt very connected. And that's where I would say my intuition and my awareness and my abilities really started turning on again. So I did a lot of meditation. I was even the director of a Buddhist center for several years, and it really supported me and I loved it. And then at some point, it just, once again, was a little confining. So I said, okay, let me continue to move through this. And I got into Reiki, and that really opened up a lot of things of really feeling the power that we have as individuals and our sovereignty and our ability to heal ourselves and really help others. So that really kind of pushed me into wanting to become a massage therapist and do some more hands-on work. All the while in the background, I got my master's in social work, and I really worked on the mental health aspect, trying to really heal my wounding from childhood and help other people through this way. But I found it a little limiting. And so it's like I kind of moved through all these beautiful things and then came to the next thing that really spoke to my heart. And the next way that allowed me to work with people in a very healing way that supports their sovereignty and also like a partnership. I never liked when somebody was like, okay, I have all these problems, solve them for me. And it was like, no, let's partner together to see how we can really become empowered. And at some point you'll be like, I don't need you anymore. I've got this. I'm figuring things out and just really growing through learning and through healing. That kind of moved me where, I got my master's in social work. I started working more directly as a therapist, as a mental health therapist. Doing Reiki and doing massage and seeing how the embodiment was such a big aspect. And as I worked with people, it also helped me heal. And I realized that I really was dissociated and I needed to come more into the body and heal that. So in the midst of all of this, I learned a lot about my own self, my own awareness, my own abilities, and just constantly wanting to increase that capacity to connect in a deeper and deeper way. That's where I came into the gene keys. And that was so revolutionary for me because I am somebody who always listens to the feedback and sometimes I take it too deeply. So criticism was very helpful for me, but it kind of struck me deeply. So I knew very well what people didn't like about me, but I didn't know how to shift it. And that's where the gene keys said, well, if you struggle, if you force things a lot, here's the other higher frequencies of what that could look like. It could look like majesty. It could look like beauty. It could look like connection. And then my heart just blew open. I said, oh, you've shown me the pathway to how I can increase the vibration around these things and not just view them as things that I can't fix and feeling defeated. And then also to allow others to say, what are you struggling with? Let's look at your beautiful chart. And then we can see how we can work to increase those vibrations and see how you work with who you are and see that as a strength and move through the world in a different way. So that was super empowering. Alongside that, I learned about astrology and I learned about other modalities and other ways to improve my emotional and mental mastery. And just constantly, I'm kind of voracious. I have lots of black holes in my chart. So I just bring in information anywhere I can get it, read any book I can get a hold of. And that's when my friends will say, I don't mention a book in front of Jessica because she's immediately on Amazon. So yeah, I just have this voracious appetite for learning and growing and then sharing that information. So it was through the Gene Keys. I was actually working with a group and a friend called me and she's like, you would not believe it. I found the perfect thing for you. And I said, okay, well, of course you did, because you always run into really neat stuff. This was happening during when I turned 40. So when I was in my 30s during a meditation retreat, I had this vision that when I turned 40, my entire life would change and that I would finally really be on track for my purpose, that it wasn't meant to come online until then. So I have been looking forward to turning 40 for a whole decade. I was like, when I turn 40, it's going to change. And I turned 40 last year. So during that 40th year is when my friend told me about galactic astrology. She said, you will love Julie Balaz. You will love the information that she's sharing. And I think this is perfect for you. So I said, okay, let me try it out. I went in, I watched a couple of your videos. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know this was out there and I need it. Not long thereafter, I bought the Galactic Astrology 101 course. I was totally blown away by all the information. It's so wonderful with all the learning that I've had to find something that I don't even have a clue about, but to have it in such a relatable way that I can understand it and work through the material and ask questions and interact and just really integrate this information. And it really helped me understand astrology in a different way. I had actually kind of struggled understanding astrology with just the planets. And this, I was like, oh, this all makes sense. And it all locked in for me. So then I got my own reading. And I was like, I don't understand half of it, but this is exactly what I need to be doing. And then I bought the certification course and it didn't take me long. It became my soul mission at that moment. I felt alive. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It was really helpful for me too. It's not just about the astrology. You talk about addressing limiting beliefs and how to set up a business. And all of those things were exactly what I needed to feel empowered to move forward. And that's where, since I've been certified, I've been able to set up my website and be on YouTube and do things that have not happened up until this point. There's this momentum that I have since completing the certification that really I feel in alignment. I feel like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing. And everything is starting to make sense and fall in line together. So I'm just so appreciative for all of the hard work and all of your experience that you've put into this and the way that you nurture the community to really help all of us succeed and help other people with this knowledge.
Beautiful. What an awe-inspiring journey. Like it sounds like you've lived so many lifetimes packed in this one incarnation. Wow. Huge amount of consciousness, evolution, progress, and looking at your chart, with your permission, if I may, to share your conjunct alignments. But most of all, what stands out for me is the black holes that you mentioned and the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. You were born around a time when we had Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Sagittarius. I was born at that time too. For me, these are sitting in my 7th house, house of relationships. But for you, it's in your 1st house. So very, very strong influence on your identity and this insatiable drive to keep seeking knowledge and wisdom and evolution. Really, the evolutionary force is really, really strong for you. And there is conjunction to the great attractor as well, sitting behind that, pulling that, the drive. It's insatiable, as I said. It's like a black hole. You always want more. It just wants to eat the whole Akashic library of infinite wisdom and contain it. So that's powerful. Just the testimony of your own life is such a beautiful manifestation here, where we can see everything kind of that we talk about in galactic astrology about the black holes and the planets manifested beautifully in your own life. And then another strong indicator, I believe, or influence for you is having this blessing of the Arcturus and Spica conjunct your moon, I believe. And then Isar star conjunct your Pluto, and Shapley tractor and Surma conjunct Saturn. So when you were born during the nighttime. So these were actually kind of rising or being quite prominent on the night sky. So definitely acting as powerful spiritual guidance and connection to ancient lifetimes, to, almost like an indicator of a very old soul that's been around and been focused on this for a long time. And just with that, lunar nodes, Gemini, Sagittarius, another strong theme. I also have very close to you lunar nodes, but mine are flipped. Oh no, mine also is in Gemini, but mine are flipped by houses. So my North Node in Gemini, conjunct Betelgeuse Polaris, is in my 2nd house. For you, it's in the 8th house. So it's interesting to see that. And of course, Neptune close to that too. So I feel such deep resonance with the way you operate, your mind, that insatiable need for chasing evolution for your own development, but in service to others too. I just love seeing all this. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm so happy that you're here. When you saw your alignments first, was there any star system or anything there that stood out for you?
There was like a few sets of things. The black holes, like I was just like, oh my goodness. And they have fascinated me ever since. Like I have this insatiable thing about the black holes. I love it. The Andromedans really spoke to me. And that's where, they wanted to be here with us today. And then the other one was the 4 royal stars. So I have them in different places in my chart, but that was one of the things that landed like so deeply in my heart, was the angels that are associated with them. And once I saw that I had connections to all 4 of the royal stars, I started working with them in my sessions, having them there with me. And now it's like they're people, like I see them here with me, guiding me and protecting me. And it's just like a whole nother level where I feel like I'm in my own little cosmic spaceship with these beautiful beings. And it really reminds me of my childhood, where I felt so connected to them.
I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm so glad you mentioned the deep connection to Christ consciousness from early on, through the environment that you were surrounded by, quite almost tangible experiences and really deep connection. And I've felt that way too. So you grew up in States, I grew up in the heart of Europe, yet the connection to Christ was really, really strong from very early on. And it actually, my parents were not going to church. They didn't even baptize me, but I seeked it. It was coming from within my own being. I really had this strong yearning I actually got baptized on my request at the age of 11. And so I believe it's the connections there with Serma and Izar and Arcturus, and of course the royal stars and perhaps the black holes too. I believe with the Christed frequency, there is a combination. It's like harmonics of fixed stars combined with the black holes, that there is with Christ alignment, it's not just one star like Sirius. I believe based on the people that feel that deep connection to Christ Magdalene frequency, they always have that combination of these multiple stars, the royal stars, Serma, Izar, black holes. So that universal harmonic through galactic astrology term came through just a couple of weeks ago, and it's quite complex and beautiful and just amazing to hear it and feel it. Does that resonate?
100%. It does. It resonates so much. It's funny because I was the one who was like, I wanted to be saved with Jesus and I wanted to be baptized. I was actually baptized one early Easter morning. I have the picture like out in the bay. Everybody was like, are you too young? And I was like, I'm doing this. Like, this is the most important thing. So I totally feel that. And that's where I say it's not religion. It's this spiritual frequency that almost feels like it's infusing every one of your cells. And it's this natural spiritual communion that you feel. Yeah, there's nothing that can take that away from me. No matter what my experiences were with the church or any of that, like I still feel so connected to that Christ consciousness and those harmonizing effects and the beauty of what Jesus spread, like, what his teachings were, that compassion and that love.
So happy to feel it being alive through you as well. And actually, I feel it really strongly in our community. There are many, I would say almost majority of our practitioners who feel very strongly aligned to that. So that feels so good. Well, speaking of your website, as you mentioned earlier, it looks beautiful. I would love to share it if that's okay. And so is Gene Keys one of the services available? And then galactic astrology, do you also offer Reiki or...
Actually, on there, it's a third option. It's just kind of like intuitive readings for people. If they don't feel like in astrology or in Gene Key specific, I can just tap into their records and help them. It's kind of like a spiritual counseling or spiritual coaching.
So the website's name is theheartofjessica.com, inspiring beauty in everyday life. Do you still do the jewelry? I saw it mentioned.
Yes, I actually recently took that down, but I do make it if people want it. I mostly do wholesale. That's one of my other things. I do make crystal jewelry, and it's like frequency medicine.
With each quantum soul guidance practitioner, they all have their unique style. Some focus more on the archetypes, others more on the galactic soul journeys, others more on the earthly lifetimes and perhaps how they connect to the stars. There's just such a variety. What is your highest excitement when you start looking at this full buffet of offerings?
A lot of the people that I work with understand some astrology, but sometimes they don't understand it all. They just feel called to talk to me. And so I clarify that real quick so that I understand how to explain things to them. But it's really about what I see that their soul has decided to do. I really like to bring in the colors and what's behind that. Like, what have they been doing throughout the galaxy? And sometimes it's shepherding humanity or working with the elementals, but just getting really clear about what they're doing. And it's interesting because a lot of times they find alignment in their everyday life. I find that clients often come to me and they feel lost. They're not certain. Sometimes they're like, I don't even know what I've done with this life. And I show them in their chart, like, look, you've been doing it all along. You're here in your existence. You've been helping the younger generations, or you've been teaching, or you are really connected to nature, I see, and that's really supporting the earth. So a lot of it is validating all the work that they've already been doing and waking them up to the fact that they are in alignment with their soul mission. And then opening up that other layer of, these are all the innate gifts. So, looking at those trines in their charts and helping them see what they're bringing in. And then who's here to help you? So oftentimes they're like, I really want to reach out to my guides, but I don't know who they are. So I provide them connections with those. And then looking at some of the challenges, I notice a lot of the clients I work with have really taken on a big heap in this life. They've, there's a lot of placements in their ancestral houses, and they're doing a lot of work with their family. I'm like, oh, are you having a lot of work where you feel like you're working with your father's side or your mother's side? And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, that's wonderful. And they'll tell me how they're actively working to break some of those curses or those ancestral things. And I'm like, this is in your chart. Your soul wanted to do this. So just, being there to presence what they've already experienced and maybe go a little bit deeper, because some of them have that where it's like, okay, you're coming online now. This is going to be your opportunity for activation. And these are some of the things that your soul had planned out. Showing them how to work with the black holes or those four royal stars or some of those other connections, how they can actually come in contact with that energy or in with those star beings to really help them move forward. Because I always feel that when I can answer some questions, but when they come into contact with that energy and they gain that information and that experience themselves and they know how to feel confident about going into there, then the information that they're getting is so much more than what I could possibly share. So I kind of balance it out with, here's some information. Here's also how you can seek further information. And then finally, I'm also there for them to say whatever. And I find that a lot of people have had strange experiences or weird things have happened. And most people don't feel comfortable having those conversations. And I'm like, tell me about it. Tell me when you saw beings. Tell me when you talked to them. Tell me when you felt guided. And it really helps validate, like, oh yeah, I see this connection right here. Like, yes, the angels were there, or yes, there were beings speaking to you and helping you, and just helping connect them and validate them with their own experience, normalizing the fact that there are so many dimensions and places and beings that are here supporting us all the time. And it's okay to listen to them. It doesn't make us weird or strange. It really means that we're growing and evolving as beings. So I don't know if that directly answered the question, but it's just this beautiful experience of validation and learning, and also some tips on how to move forward for them to further explore their own galactic lineage and heritage and missions.
I love all that. It can be absolutely life-changing for someone who was hiding in the closet with all their experiences that are actually so powerful, but they have no one to talk to, and then feeling heard, feeling safe in that. It can release so much tense energy. The frequency shifts to higher vibration, and then everything starts aligning magic. It can truly be life-changing. I can totally see that. Beautiful. Oh, what an honor for you to be here with us, Jessica. Actually, I would like to ask you about transits. And currently we have Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. We had the exact conjunction of these two in Taurus only 3 days ago. We are recording this on 23rd of April, 2024. So for you, this conjunction is in your 6th house, conjuncting your natal Chiron in Taurus. How has this energy been influencing you in the last while? Because it's not just on the day of the 20th, it's actually quite potent and stretches over many months, even a couple of years when planets like these come together. So the 6th house is associated with health, daily tasks, routines, schedule, things like that. Do you feel the frequency there?
I definitely do. Chiron has been so important to me, especially since Chiron hit our North Node collectively. I've been paying a lot of attention. I've been feeling it in my body. So it's very much interesting. You mentioned health. I am feeling a very embodied version of these transits actually for the last couple of years. And interestingly enough, we remember that it was also in my 1st house when I was born. So these areas have been really activated for me in my health. And I've been having to step back more and more and more into really focusing on taking care of myself and supporting what's really essential and necessary. And that's where it's affected my schedule, because I am moving with my cycles and with my flow and all of that, taking care of my body. And when I thought I was doing enough self-care, it's like, okay, it's time to do more, and it's time to do more. So I'm moving deeper and deeper into self-care and into nourishing myself. And what I found is that, well, when is enough enough? When I've hit that point, all of a sudden the flow begins and I feel really moved and excited to do stuff. I've also been grounding a lot, as much as I can possibly ground, and that's really been helping me to move things through the body. And I also realized that I have a lot of excitement and joy for the things that I'm meant to do, and the extraneous stuff just falls away. But it's allowed me to heal my wounding around doing too much and being constantly busy and not really nurturing myself. I raised my brothers as a child, so it was really about taking care of other people for my entire life. And this is really now making me focus on taking care of myself, putting myself first, And it feels weird. It feels different. And I can totally see how important that is for me to heal that wounding. And then to also share that with others. Oftentimes, people who are in the helping fields or caring fields aren't taking enough care of themselves. And so I'm really moving from this place of giving from a full cup. And when my cup is full, I feel like doing so many things. I feel that, expansion. And when it's not, I kind of pull in and I allow myself to take care of myself. So there's that transformation and that evolution and that expansion around my self-care, which really allows me to be available to give that highest quality out to those that I'm supposed to, and how I'm able to share, whether it's on my YouTube channel or with my clients. That cup is just overflowing with those energies and the transmissions and feeling really in alignment with what I'm doing. So it's really been beautiful and very challenging. And I still feel it moving through me, but I am embracing it because I can feel that on a cellular level, I'm shifting, my body is changing. And that's what I want. I'm focused on getting to that 5D and really ascending and really embodying that. So this is all part of the process. And I find it absolutely beautiful.
Amazing. Well, you are glowing. So, keep at it. Beautiful. I can relate to so much of that. For you, this current Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is in the 6th house. For me, it's in the 12th house, but I have a Pluto-Saturn in my 6th. So the whole time when you're talking and me being aware of your chart compared in synastry with my chart, I feel like we are part of the same consciousness or oversoul prism. I see it like a disco ball that has these little fragments, and we are one of the fragments of the same oversoul consciousness. And it's when you become aware of it, how oversoul incarnates into multiple bodies. Not that we are, but that's what it feels like right now when you're aware of all these little details and how it works through impacting the collective in its own unique way, but yet in a similar fashion, because the geometry and the alignments with the heavens is working in harmony with each other. It's just, being aware of the collective kind of team working together, unaware of each other, but then bouncing at one point, meeting each other, recognizing each other. It's such an amazing moment for me right now to recognize it.
No, I feel it too. I literally feel like we're sitting at opposite sides of the same table and we're just experiencing this world together in many ways. And I felt that immediate magnetism. I totally am there with you, because that's where I was like, I feel like we're somehow connected, like in soul group or in some way, especially since our birthdays are so close to each other. There's just a lot of similarities and whatnot. I feel that deeply.
Yeah, I just want to take this further with someone thinking, so many people are born around the same time. So why don't we feel this way? For example, our schoolmates in school, where we sit in a class with everyone else, why don't we feel this type of deep connection and likeness and similarities? But it's even people born in the same year, every chart is completely unique, and there are infinite variations, just like your fingerprint. And not only the natal chart of people that are born around the same time, even in the same location, that is kind of influencing how they are, who they are, how they feel, but it's also, I believe, the connection to their immediate family members and their lineage. So that also creates another variation and complexity of how things feel differently. So that's why I feel the experience like this, it's not as common, even if we are operating next to people who are born around the same time. There's just something really special here.
Yes, thank you. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that that's what makes this so beautiful, is we seek out those different aspects of ourselves, and it's not so easy to find. So to really find that connection at some point in this life just helps the soul breathe in a different way, to feel that harmonizing frequency.
And obviously there has to be divine timing for meetings like this, because if we would have met, say, 15 years earlier, we wouldn't have recognized what we're able to recognize today. So it's just so beautiful. What a gift. Is there any story perhaps from your sessions, anything that kind of stands out for you that made you feel really excited or in awe, anything that you would like to share in terms of looking at someone's soul history?
It's interesting for me because in the beginning, a lot of the people that I did readings for, I knew, maybe not as friends, but I knew them through acquaintances. And what we see day to day, oh, everybody's beautiful, and they're wonderful. But then to look and be like, oh, they're a star being, or they're a blueprinter, and to just see how the wonderful people that we're surrounded have so much amazing power and ancient activity behind them. So not to take people for granted and, oh, they're a lovely person, but no, they're a blueprinter. They understand the very basic aspects of this reality and how to shift it. And the power that holds is so wonderful. And I found that some of the most humble people have some of the largest jobs and missions. And they're so humble in this lifetime, you wouldn't know that they were there seeding humanity at the beginning of the universe, or that they were a star in Andromeda. And when they finished being a star in Andromeda, they chose to come here and take human form to help the earth and to help the sun. Sometimes they're even blown away. They're like, what are you saying to me? Like, how is this true? And I'll hear a couple of months later, like, Jessica, I've really been sitting with that. And it's really helped me better understand myself. So we don't know that we're surrounded by amazing beings who have the power of creating solar systems and humanity and helping see this earth, but they really do hold that frequency in them. And the other instance that was so special for me was I always like to ask to DAOs, who is their guardians, or who are their guides? Who are the beings that are working with them? Because people always want to know, like, how do I connect? And usually it's, an archangel, or it's an ascended master. And more recently, I had somebody who it was star beings. And when I saw that, it makes sense, but it really touched me on a very deep level. And I thought, oh, wow, this is amazing. And that's where I went in and looked. And I don't remember exactly what star it was, but it was prominent in their chart. It was like the most common star in their chart. And it was mind-blowing. Like almost every single point or planet was connected with this star. I really like to look at the royal stars. I really like to look at some of those other connections. And so it stuck out to me before, and then I dowsed, and then it came out again. Like, this is the star. You need to talk to her about this. It was Centaurus. And so I talked to her about it, and I talked to her a little bit about, Chiron being a centaur and all of this. And she almost broke down in tears. It just meant so much to her to know that these beings have been looking out for her. And she's like, I've always felt that somebody's been watching over me and helping me. And for you to put a name to it so I can directly connect to it, it was just like the most amazing thing for her. So she just felt so deeply connected. And that's where she told me, I've said this before to people and they've always made me feel weird or unaccepted. But I do remember having contact and having connection with beings when I was young. And this feels like that. So that just was so touching to me and to her. And the chart spoke. This chart just spoke to me and said, this is so important. So that's some of the most amazing things for me. I find that each person is like this amazing, like archaeological journey. I'm kind of working through what's going on with their life and what they've been doing. It's so exciting. And I find myself, when I start my session, saying, I'm so excited for your reading. It's different than what I've experienced before. And I really want to tell you about it. And usually they're like, yeah, I've been waiting for this. I'm excited too. So there's so many layers to take apart and to look at. And everything that comes through usually is different because it's exactly what that person needs to hear. And it really helps them feel so connected to things that are beyond us and to feel belonging.
Such beautiful, beautiful stories. Thank you very much. It reminds me in 2022, I had an experience of heart expansion. It was during the eclipse or the solstice. I created a sacred space for me to connect deeper. And this was actually one of the revelations that came through, where I was shown how much is connected to each individual. I was shown so many different people in my life and the lineages that come with them. I actually fell down to my knees and I just had rivers of tears and deep, deep gratitude, just recognizing what actually is going on and the epic orchestration. I think that's what I got the word that I then started using. It's mind-blowing. If we really, really knew, we wouldn't even be able to operate because we would just be completely speechless, crying, feeling humbled, and feeling just in ecstasy from knowing how much love and wisdom is present on earth at this time and who is walking this earth with us at this time. It's truly magnificent. So I'm so glad that you brought up that story and that deep recognition. That was your experience. What an amazing journey, right? With the quantum soul guidance. I feel the excitement. I feel the passion. I'm so glad that you're here. Congratulations. Super well done. May this recording reach the right people, and may you have many more absolutely incredible experiences, mutually beneficial. Is there any parting message you would like to share with our audience, whether the students of the course or anyone considering it, or just viewers in general?
Just sending so much love, and so much love from our family, our star family. This is a journey, I think, that just is a catalyst to activating us to higher awareness. It's so worth getting a reading, looking into the course, seeing what resonates with you. This is really, I think, helping us to awaken to the fact that we are a galactic civilization, and there's so much more than just this earth. And that's helped me navigate tumultuousness on the earth, is knowing that we're part of something so much bigger, and there are so many beings that are supporting us. So we are well cared for.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you all for watching. We look forward to connecting with you again next time. Much love. Take care. Be well.